Hi guys, welcome back. Joining me today is a special guest, a pioneer who has changed the dodgeball sport in Hong Kong and around the world. He's the founder of Hong Kong Dodgeball Association, deputy president of the World Dodgeball Federation and the Asian Pacific Dodgeball Federation, and he's also the head coach for both the Hong Kong men's and women's team. Welcome, Brian.
Thank you. Thanks. Nice to be here, Aaron.
Hey, really good to have you here. And we want to cover three main areas today. First of all, I want to know more about you. Who's Brian?
Okay.
How do you find dodgeball? How dodgeball find you? Your entrepreneurship journey and history of dodgeball and what makes Hong Kong dodgeball great. So I want to kick off this interview first by congratulating you first of all. And it's a phenomenal news. And Hong Kong dodgeball team has just won 3 gold medals for the World Dodgeball Federation.
First ever. Yeah, World Youth Games. Yeah.
Yes.
First ever.
For under 12, under 15,
and under
18.
Correct.
And you got a medal right here.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. So it's great news. I mean, it's just as of last week, actually. And but then it's been years and years of preparation for that. Yeah. So dodgeball, when I first started dodgeball, I was at HKS, and it was an elementary school game, right? And the thing about dodgeball, it's a kid's game, and it's always been a game. And, you know, there's no duration. It's just 2 teams that just hit off each other until you sort of make the rules as you go along. But the problem is that every country has their own version of it. So the reason that we see it is because it's in our American pop culture, right? You know, dodgeball, and it's technically it's an American thing that, you know, to make it popularized. But then the movie came out 2004, and that's when people basically everywhere and around the world were like, wow, that's a blast from the past. Childhood memories back then it came back up. I mean, I remember my childhood memories with dodgeball. And then the movie came out and we're like, dude, let's do it as adults. Let's bring it back, kind of like, you know, old school. And then somehow just so happens like all the countries in the world basically had the same inspiration and the same drive to play dodgeball again, just from that movie.
Let's talk about the movie.
Sure.
So the movie you're talking about is Dodgeball.
Dodgeball with Ben Stiller and
Vince Vaughn.
Yeah.
What impact did that movie have on you?
At first, when I watched it, nothing. It was a very funny movie. I mean, I watched Old School, you know, recently before then, you know, kind of thing. It's just like, it's a funny Hollywood movie. And it all of a sudden, but having said that, it got back childhood memories. Like, why not bring it back? Why not bring back this sport? You know, so basically what we did from 2004 to 2012, I guess, all these countries started emerging, saying, hey, let's play dodgeball and let's make a collective effort to make it from a game into a sport. And how do you make it from a game into sport? You have to put duration, and you have to put some, you know, you have to make it exciting. You have to make it fair. You have to put certain rules in. So it's just a lot of years of just trial and error to see what rule set works the best. But then what we found most was like even the ball type makes a lot of difference to the game. I mean, US had the big bouncy ball. We originally had that for Hong Kong first, originally back in 2006. I mean, because the movie was the big bouncy rate balls. After a few tournaments, we had a few broken fingers. I mean, the injuries were pretty severe, and we're like, dude, I'm not gonna, you know, I'm not gonna organize this. I mean, the liability itself it could be, I could get sued, right? And so then that wasn't a solution. Then we were experimenting, and then we found, you know, there's the ball called I forgot the. Rhino skin or something. It was just a foam ball that the U.S. was in Canada was using. It was pretty popular. Forgot the actual brand name because eventually we did our own.
Which is this ball, right?
Which is this one, yeah, exactly. So, oh no, sorry, Gopher. We used to use the Gopher ball, the 7-inch, and we tried everything. We tried 5, 6, 7. The U.S. used 8.25 for the big bouncy balls, and if you change that to foam, it works better. The ball is not as heavy, so it doesn't come as it doesn't hit as hard. But then just the foam texture, you can grip it better. It throws better. So then it's still a little too big. So now, after a lot of experimentation, it's the 7-inch diameter one is now the international standard. Anyone from 9 years old onwards can hold it, grip it, and you know, it's the one that's the fastest, is the safest. So basically, we chose back in the early days with U.S. Hong Kong, U.S., Malaysia, and Australia, and the first, I would call it the pioneer foam countries. We basically sat down and talked about it, like how to make this game more interesting. When the U.S. came over to try it out, we tried their version, and they like, hey, the foam's a lot better because you won't get that dynamics with the rubber game. It's because you can get a game over within 10 seconds with foam. With rubber, the balls are slower. It's coming. The ball's bigger, so it's too easy to catch, too easy to dodge. But the problem is, if I'm not looking and it hits me, dude, it hurts. You know, it's kind of like imagine playing dodgeball with a basketball. No, it won't be a threat. It's so slow. But if you get hit, it'll hurt, right? So that's the problem.
How easy was it to convince everyone to adopt a new version of the dodgeball?
We didn't really. Equipment-wise, not that hard to change because a lot of countries actually didn't have any balls to use. I mean, New Zealand at the time was still using like volleyballs, right? I mean, you use what you got to use. I mean, we back in our PE class, I mean, we used a big kickball, and it actually said kickball, but we were using it as a dodgeball, right? You use what you use. And then back in when we played at HKS, it was either a soccer ball or a basketball. Same thing. It was either about a basketball, a soccer ball, or just a rubber. They call it kickball. Then.
Yeah. And I also heard the Dodgeball #2 is coming out soon, and you had a role to play in that.
Yeah, sort of. So the writer and director for the second one, Jordan Davina. So he actually flew over and watched the WDBF in Austria. So he came on camera and he was talking, he's introducing himself and he's, the new theme of the movie. And he's like, yeah, all original cast, the entire original cast is coming. So yeah,
that's pretty cool.
I don't know what theme they're gonna do though. The Vince Vaughn must be like 60 by now, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know how competitive he'll be in the World Dodgeball Federation kind of world tour. Who knows? Maybe they're gonna do youth. Who knows? That's a new thing.
Yeah. So can I ask you, out of like you saw dodgeball, you saw the potential of dodgeball way before anyone saw the potential.
Well, potential, yes, but then like it's still molding and shaping as we go. Yeah. So I mean, I don't make all the rules up. I mean, there's some basically the original WDBF rule was basically the Hong Kong rule set because we were more developed at the time and we had videos 3-4 years. By then, we started a league in 2006, but we started filming and putting everything on YouTube 2008. So we were the first league to actually document it to this point. And I can say, okay, why we changed this rule in the season between the season is because of this. I mean, anything could happen, right? Certain rules as in like what makes a ball live and dead if it hits you and before it hits a dead object. Certain actual specific rules like that. And so just to be easier, let's just use Hong Kong rules because they're the only ones with the actual duration. It's 20-minute halves. A lot of countries are like, wow, that's really long. I was like, well, it's kind of like like soccer. You need a heads up match. You need a duration. An hour and a half is way too long, for soccer. 45 minutes, then you can't. It's not divisible by 2 either. Now we thought about 25-25, making 50-minute a match, but then like in terms of usage in Hong Kong, it's tough because then they kick you out exactly in LCSD courts, right? You check in at 10, they kick you out at exactly at 9:55, 59, right? So with that, a 50-minute match duration is a little too long. If it runs over, then we're screwed, right? So it's just trial and error. We decided maybe it's 2020. Let's make it 40-minute halves, and then we have halftime. We can have certain warm up time and everything. And then from there, it just became let's make it an international standard. And then from there, one country became 2, 5, 10. I think right now WDBF. Honestly speaking, real countries that have dodgeball, our version of dodgeball developed. 45, 50, which is quite an accomplishment. Yeah. So I think the benchmark is 60 countries that are real countries, not just like, you putting a name down like Macau, it's not really there yet kind of thing, right? Yeah. So 60 countries, and then we can get into sport accord, and then you're a shortlist for Olympics. You're shortlisted for a global sport that could be up there. And that's all coming in this month. Yeah.
That's fantastic. So is the end game to get into the Olympics?
Yes and no. I mean, Olympics does not dictate whether a sport is good or not. I mean, you're just trying to get it into that level where, okay, now this is the biggest global audience, right? But is it? I mean, there's a lot of sports that really don't care about Olympics, like like NFL. I mean, one sport itself is actually the most underrated and the most misunderstood sport. That sport itself the Americans know how to market a sport. I mean, that one sport, each NFL team out-revenues FIFA on a Super Bowl year. I mean, that's the difference of level. And they're like, we don't care about nobody else plays it. We call ourselves world champions. Nobody else plays it. We don't care. We have the Super Bowl, and it's huge, and it's huge in the U.S. Right? You know, at every single sport state, at every single level.
Yeah,
it's huge, and that's why now they're like, you know what? Hey, let's back flag football. I don't know how that's going to work, and they're changing it in this sport. Is it going to be NFL players? It's going to be very interesting to see that they're making into NFL back into sport. It's not really American football. It's just flag football. Yeah. So yeah.
So you grew up in Hong Kong and spent some time in the States.
Yeah.
So they say a lot of our upbringing shape us who we are.
Of course.
So I want to ask you, like, what shaped Brian into the person he is today, and how did that lead you to dodgeball?
I would credit my personality, everything. I would actually credit that to HKS, my upbringing, because now that I'm a father myself, and a few years ago I was trying to see where to put my kids, right? And the whole debate with the local school, with the discipline versus international school, you get naughty kids, or you get wasn't a naughty kid because I never got caught. But for sure I was very, worldly, so it's hard to say. But then I would credit HKS just to say, okay, learn how to be sociable, learn how to be, learn your roles as a person. If you're going to be a bully, you're not going to have friends. You have that, you have that consequences thing. You learn that early on, right? So. And same thing. I mean, all the friends I had then, they're still my friends now. I mean, in terms of education, in terms of just any schooling, I don't know, because I don't know any others. I wasn't in any other school, so I can't compare. Like I'm still friends with this guy, right? But for HKS, I'm still friends with all my HKS, all my elementary school friends till now, still.
Parenting advice: middle-aged father, 2 young kids, and you've been doing this entrepreneurship for the last 20 years.
Yeah. Way more than that. Yeah.
Right. So what would be your top 2 parenting advice in this new day and age?
That's hard, because then I'm still a new parent. But what I wanted to instill in my children, which I guess I just want them to be happy, because at least I understand. Yes, you need discipline. I mean, there was a lot of debate whether, with the whole local school versus international school thing. And considering the international school, they even told us, advertised, like, we no homework till 6th grade. And and that was a good thing. But it was a deal breaker for a lot of the other parents. Like, no homework till 4th grade. I mean, it's debatable. It's I would just want them to have the best education that they can get. So the difference was, mine was a little bit force-fed, in a way. And you gotta credit my mom and dad. The fact is, I mean, at least I got the best off that was possible. I mean, Ishikawa was impossible to get in, and somehow we got in. And I grew up. I went to Hotchkiss. It was a prep school. I mean, I had the opportunity for the best, and so it's the parenting's social skills to actually get you into those social circles. And unfortunately, it's in this day and age. It wasn't just it wasn't just the resume, or there was no resume back in then. It was 6th grade, it's your parents' connection kind of thing, right? So same thing. I mean, everyone here is alumni, and everyone has a kid. It's so hard to get in. It was my daughter didn't get in HKS the first year either. So yeah.
And how did that? So there are 2 questions that I ask every single guest on my show.
Sure.
The first one is, what is your purpose? And the last question, you gotta get a chance to ask the audience any question you want. So the question I want to ask you right now, Brian, is, what is your purpose, and how did
in life, or just in for dodgeball, or in terms of what?
Well, how do you see your purpose?
I actually didn't assume that you can make money through dodgeball. I did it only because I thought I was very passionate. I think it is a very great game. It's a great sport that it could be. I mean, we're limited. We're not limited to anything. It's shapeless. It could be 6-on-6, it could be 4-on-4. It's just dodgeball. It's just a sport that it could be anything, and it could be fun. It could be 2-on-2, and it could be like, we can be, it can make it very fun. And that was what I wanted to like develop. And even then, it was like a pipe dream. I didn't know that the finishing line was this close. I always thought like, yeah, someday it'll be Olympics. It won't be in my lifetime, but I don't really care. At least we have the foundations. Yeah. And all of a sudden, with because of the collective countries of Europe, with Dwayne Wazinski in Canada, just the reach of people and the way they talk to people and their sales and the diplomatic, the way they're very diplomatic, people like our system. And, and all of a sudden, like we've gone big enough a lot quicker than expected. And so the finishing line is very soon. It's the next couple of years, I think. Yeah. So then once we get into sport accord, then it's like now you've made it as a sport. And then there's, and it's fun from there. We'll see. We'll keep developing. We'll try new things. I mean, this World Youth Championship was the best. I mean, because in terms of organizer, ironic thing was it used to be a kids game, right? It was a game in the school, but the problem was nobody played it outside of school. We made it into a serious sport with millions and millions of viewership on YouTube, and it's something that you can quantify. And it's big, and it's been a great competitive sport now. I mean, you watch the match, you watch the U15 bronze medal between Italy and Mexico. That was one of the best matches I've seen, and it was two youth teams. It was a close match, 1-1, 2-1, 2-2 tiebreak. It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
So now that we achieved that in the sport, now it's just marketing from here on, and just funding, and then it's everything. Yeah.
Hey, I picked up this from your website, and I really love what you've written. And you said dodgeball has been your life's work, and it is a sport that you're very proud of. It is the most inclusive sport in the world, where you've had the honor and privilege to play with people from all walks of life, from all ethnic backgrounds or genders and sexual orientations and different age groups. You can think of nothing other than a physical sport where you can be on the same court with players old enough to be a parent and also young enough to be a child.
Exactly.
For those of you who have not played dodgeball, have not seen dodgeball before, can you explain what dodgeball is and what makes dodgeball so great for young people and people of all ages?
Dodgeball is fun for kids because anyone can throw a ball. I mean, it's so easy to get in. It's kind of like why pickleball is such a craze right now. It's easy to get in. Within 5 minutes, I can teach you how to play dodgeball, and you can have fun, and at any level. It doesn't. You don't have to learn how to. You don't have to throw hard. You don't have to be able to dodge well. You don't have to run. You don't have to be able. You don't have to have a specific body type, right? Anyone can be world class level, and that's the best thing about dodgeball. I can make you in the world class level. Anyone. It's just practice, right? You can't throw right now. The power will get there. Accuracy, there's timing, there's everything. And at the end of the day, it's a team effort. So you can throw at your pace there. Can you team up with somebody at the same time, right? So at the end, and then there's strategy and there's the coach. That's why the importance of coaching. You gotta have somebody know the attributes for your own team. Not everyone on the team is gonna throw hard. But there's some teams that have no catchers. You sort of need to balance it out. You need to balance the position. It's a great game. I mean, so talking to a layman, just watch the movie, watch any of the videos, and you can, at least you can see within 5 minutes. Oh, this is a very exciting game. I mean, it's always action. It's not like soccer where it could be like 40 minutes before there's a highlight with a goal or something. This one, there's somebody's making action with every 5 seconds, right? Yeah. So
can I ask you 3 gold medals?
Yeah.
12, 15, and 18.
Yes.
What makes Hong Kong dodgeball team great? What is one, if there's one secret sauce that you've learned?
For just adults, we are, for adult team, keep in mind, okay, so our first gold medal was 2012. And we won for the men's, and then that year we silvered for the women's. Keep in mind, we had 4 other silver medals since then. So we've been coming close every year since. We've probably had, 8 medals through the last 10 years of World Championships. So we've been competing, as a top country, we're competitors every year. It's US, Canada, Malaysia, Australia, and Hong Kong. These 5 countries were always going to be heartbreak if you miss the medal rounds. Yeah. So.
Yeah. And I'm intrigued, right? As a city or as a city, we only have 8 million population. Yeah. Most of us spend a lot of time in offices.
Sure.
We hardly get time to practice sports.
So originally, the first 8 years, I guess, from 2012 to 19, I would say. Let's just say those years we were heavily relying on expats. We had a lot of baseball. Guys that used to play baseball in high school, back in college and everything. We had Rob Pinson. We had guys that can naturally throw hard. Kevin Burns, and it doesn't matter. And we had like guys like John Chu, he's like Hong Kong #1 tennis player with a serve of 140 miles per hour serve. Like him, and at first, and he's like, I'm a tennis player. It's like, and he fell in with dodgeball because all of a sudden, like his serving speed, he's throwing hard, and it was great. And so we had a lot of legendary players back in the day, and that were stars from other sports, right? And that helped us win the first few medals. And then after that, then it was just the expats and. It's just practice. Like I said, this is the only sport where you will get good in time. I mean, you started with D3 team and the Violas team, and you made it Division 1, right? Practice. And it's timing and it's teamwork and it's everything. So then it's dedication to get good. And then Hong Kong as a country, as a national team, we're all expat. Up to 2019, we're all expat, and we practice a lot. We play the league, and we have a lot of fun, and at least in self-finance. So we didn't have that much problem. Everybody was banker. Oh, we're going to New Zealand. Done. Let's go. Kind of thing. And we're there to have fun. I mean, we've been to really exotic locations. It was 2012 was Malaysia. 2013 was New Zealand. 2014 I hosted in Hong Kong. 2015 was Las Vegas. 2016 was Melbourne. 2017 was Toronto. 2018 was Los Angeles. 2019 was Cancun. We had continuous once a year as a big world championship once a year. But having said that, it wasn't really. We sort of knew it wasn't sustainable. I mean, by the time you announce the next one, it's actually less than a year. So that it's a big burden to the host country to do something that big that quick. And you need basically 2-3 years of lead time, right? So so the pandemic sort of helped us in that thing where 2020 was canceled, and we didn't have another world championship until 2022 when Dwayne's like, okay, how about let my home country host it. I meant to host it, and he made a big one, and that kind of put it back on the map. So the pandemic almost killed the sport completely, for sure.
For sure. Well, that leads me to the next question I wanted to ask you. How was your entrepreneurship journey of the last 20 years, developing this sport from not a mature sport to now going into becoming a mainstream sport? What were some of the challenges that you navigated?
Governance, government. I mean, keep in mind when I first started, and then my dad was very against it. He's like, only because right when I said I was interested in it, I think 2008, the U.S. officially banned dodgeball in schools. And it was an article out. I mean, it's politics, and the U.S. is U.S. And at the time, I was a U.S. citizen. But then, so those two things that were banned in school, it's one's dodgeball and one's Kinder Egg. But what you can still bring to school is guns. You're not allowed to bring guns, but there's still guns in school. And that, it's.
What's the reason to ban dodgeball?
Because it's a bullying sport. Unfortunately, I mean, the movie came out and it got big, but then you don't run it properly. The ball hurts. I mean, if you don't run it properly in the PE program, it's people get hurt, and it's fun to see people get hurt. Though it's fun. I mean, people are getting balls hit in the face, and it's funny. Unfortunately, it's funny, and it was highlighting that. I even had a highlight reel based on that, right? But then. But it sucks because then, keep in mind, I was on the other end of that dodgeball too. When I first started in elementary school, 4th grade in guys, dude, I was the youngest one, and I was the smallest kid in class. I mean, it sucked back then. I mean, it was 2 team captains, and usually the biggest kid in class. One happened to be a girl because girl actually aged faster back then, right? So, dude, it's 2 captains. They're each choosing 1 player each for their team because basically, back then, recess is 30 minutes. It could actually be 1 match of dodgeball, just 1 game, right? It was like 15 versus 15, right? It never ends. Dude, it sucked. I was the last one picked. It sucked. Right. And understandable because I couldn't even hold the ball, right? So I had to throw it 2 hands.
And how old were you?
I was probably 10, 8 or 9, 4th grade. I should know. Let's see. My son's 7 at 1st grade. Yeah, so then I think 10th grade. Yeah, 10 years old. So, and then all of a sudden it was just recess. It was a fun thing to do during recess, and then all of a sudden no more dodgeball in 6th grade, high school, And then all of a sudden I came back with the movie. Yeah.
Right.
So
from not being picked on a dodgeball team to now you can make a decision.
no, I was the captain of the Hong Kong team, and that won the world championship.
Who gets to play on my team? How does that feel?
It wasn't an ego thing. It was not. It felt good as a personal achievement. Like, you know, did I ever get bullied on the sport? No, I didn't. You know, I wasn't picked, and it sucked. It would be the last one picked. But then, you know, I did I excel in the sport? I didn't excel either. I made a few catches, and it was great. I mean, the thing about dodgeball was, it's always something about the game that makes you be like, okay, I like it. At the time I couldn't throw. Nobody threw at me either, so I couldn't catch either. But then like eventually you still have to get me out, and it was easier because it was one ball back then, right? Or it was only 2 or 3 balls, or whatever balls we use, and it's fun because then it was a back ball. I know it's like whole song, the fact that you're dodging something, I was like, and then like people are like, ooh, you misses you, and you're like, ooh, and it's something addictive. It was addictive. There's always something about the sport that can make you addictive. Addicted to the sport. I was addicted to dodging. You know, just having a back wall and then the ball go and you're like, aha, you missed me. You know, yeah. You know, so I was coaching some kid at GSIS, and he was a hater. He's like, he didn't want to be there. And I was like, okay, because your mom signed you up for your elective. So he didn't want to throw. He didn't want to catch. He didn't want to dodge. I was like, okay, just stand there, hold the ball. And at least I can stage it where, you know, it'd be like, okay, you're a blocker. You know, I was just hitting it, you know, I was aiming it right there. He didn't have to move. But the fact that, you know, a few of the balls went thump, and it was big, it was loud, and I was like, oh, I blocked it. And his eyes like lit up. I was like, okay, just call yourself a blocker. You can always stage it where you can have him have fun. And all of a sudden, he stayed and played a lot of years and be like, okay, he identifies himself as blocker. I hold a ball, nobody can get me out. You know, you can, as long as you can empower somebody. Any player, it doesn't matter their attributes. Doesn't matter if they're, you know, they can throw or not.
Right.
Yeah.
And what happened after the school day? Like, how you went from not being picked on the team to developing passion for the team, but then it was always just a game, right? And I gotta say, it's the movie, and I was like late 20s in Hong Kong. There's nothing to do in the weeknights, right? I mean. Can you go out drinking every night? Yes, you can in Lan Kwai Fong. I mean, but the weekend doesn't start till Wednesday, right? The ladies' night, and then Thursday was my hand. There's places to go, but Sunday to Monday, Tuesday, there's nothing to do. And then all of a sudden, you know, we saw basketball leagues. Why not do a dodgeball league, right? So then from there, it went from 4 teams to 6 teams, and we kind of plateaued at 8 teams for a little bit. And then when I said, hey, you know what? I'm asking my friends, hey, why do you drop out the season? And they're like, hey, Brian, I don't want to pay money to get my ass kicked, right? And it's so subtle. I mean, you can be just a little bit better, just a little bit more experience, and it's going to be lopsided. It'll be like 20-0. I was like, dude, Brian, I don't want to pay money to be like, get my ass kicked. It's humiliating. The game itself is close. It ends up 1-on-1, 2-on-2. It's very close. But the score looks like you got your ass kicked, 20-0. And I was like, understood. So we started doing divisions, I think 2009, 2010. So we had Division 1, Division 2. All of a sudden, Division 2 blew up. And they're like, oh, nobody wants to play Division 1. I didn't know that. Nobody wants to be the top team. Everybody just wants to play and have fun and to win, basically. So then from there, we came to the Division 3, Division 4. And there's a lot of teams that were yo-yoing on purpose. They'll be undefeated Division 4, undefeated 10-0. They'll go to Division 3. And just the nature of the skill level, they'll get an ass kicked and they finish 0-10, and then they'll relegate again. And you know, a lot of teams happen to do like that, and then eventually a lot of teams are doing it on purpose just because they just want to win, right? So then, like, you know, there's a lot of drama. There's a lot of people stealing other people's players, and there's a lot of infighting. There's a lot of drama, and that's what made the sport great. I mean, there's a lot of bitching, and as an organizer, it sucks. I had to answer a lot of emails per day. Oh, this guy's cheating. Watch game 3, 40 seconds, and a lot of cheating allegations. And which is why it was a credit to the camera. People ask me, oh, what made you start documenting all this?
Okay, so if we didn't document all these things, then nobody would have found us, right? If nobody put anything on YouTube, so people are like, "What makes you start?" It's like I put it on YouTube because it stopped people cheating, man. We only had 2 refs, and it was an ingenious idea. You put it on YouTube, people will watch it, just to say, hey, I guarantee I hit that guy, right? So people start watching the video, and all of a sudden our hits got a lot better, on YouTube. And we had a few videos with hundreds of hits. We're like, wow, really? And then it became a standard, and then the cheating went down. But then the allegations went up, so then I got a lot of emails a day. You're like, oh, check this, and we had HD cameras, so it was great. So then, having said that, like 80 out of 100 complaints, maybe 85 of them were all just not conclusive evidence. Let's put it that way.
So how do you manage, like you run a competitive sport?
Yeah.
A lot of divisions in the league. How do you manage different personalities, and how do you motivate your team over the years?
Okay, it's different. It's different because I've done this 20 years. So I mean, there's different eras. Back when let's just say the era of when I first wanted to make the league cool. Let's put it that way, right? With the expats and everything, I definitely had a unofficial no asshole policy. So
what does that mean?
Basically, you had to come to tryouts. Basically, I had to see what you are as a person before I allow you to play. So that's why tryouts are mandatory. But it's mandatory for 2 other reasons. Everybody's like say, Aaron, you have a team. It's like, oh yeah, I have like 10 friends I want to play. Of course, they'll be like, oh, you want to play dodgeball? Everybody's yeah. They'll sign up. But then like by the time the season starts, you'd be lucky to have 2 players. So everybody drops. The dropout level is pretty high. You try, you love it, but can you commit every week? A lot of them can. So then it's great to have everyone. You show up to try out just to experience it, see if you like it, and enough to commit once a week. Right. So then, and that worked out really good. So then it also worked out great because then I can see what certain people that are looking for teams, I can make sure they don't get on a team. Right. Yeah. Or certain players that you can sort of see like they're going to bully people. Right. Then I felt bad. I'll get people to bully them just to turn them away from the game. I'll get, Hong Kong team players just to come in the tryouts and it's pretty shitty, I know, to admit, but then like at least I safeguard, assholes. One person can ruin the entire match easily. Absolutely. Yeah. So you're trying to avoid those guys. I mean, those guys eventually will still get in, and then I'll work with the captains. Hey, can you tell this player not to be this type of this kind of person? I mean, when the league got huge, like we had some 50-something teams, and we had to cut teams. I had to, and I felt bad. I had to cancel the entire franchise because. I don't want to name names, but we had some banker teams, and they had a franchise of 4 teams, one in every division. But every team, every week, there's somebody that plays against them complains like, "Dude, that's not fun. They're either cheating or they're too rowdy or whatever." Yeah. But then I saw the cheating, and then when I played against them myself, I'm like, dude, you guys are pretty bluntly cheating. You see that then my team starts cheating, and it's just like oh, the ref sucks anyways. Let's just do our own thing, kind of thing. And then I was like, and I gave them a warning letter, and then they kept doing that. I was like, dude, I have to kick out the entire franchise. So we lost 4 teams on that, but it had to be done.
How do you see trash talk?
Trash talk is fine. I mean, as long as it doesn't get physical. I mean, thank God we don't have. In our 20-year history, we've never had a fist fight on dodgeball court. I say on the dodgeball court. I think some people took it outside afterwards. But then, like in my 20-year or 10-year, we didn't have we had a shoving match. Back in the early days. Yeah. So I mean, it was different. We didn't have the rules, and then people didn't respect the game as much as now. So now the game's gotten this much respect, then they don't want to get kicked out, right? So yeah.
So you mentioned up to 50-something divisions. That was
50 teams at one point.
50
because right after we won the World Championship 2012. Hong Kong hosted 2014, and we both our men and women's team medaled. And then the sport blew up. We had a lot of teams that wanted to join, and then we had Division 4 and 5. And then it gotten too big, and so too many people were complaining because then it's a zero-sum game with the LCSD courts, right? So then we were competing against basketball leagues, volleyball leagues, Assams playing like badminton, So it's either 4 badminton courts or 1 basketball court, right? So whoever gets the ticket first, right?
Yeah.
So then we were. And we're only limited to playing weekdays, right? Because basically we're expat league, and we don't mind playing 10 to 11 because they prefer that. After the 11 o'clock, then let's go to Lang Kwai for drinks. I mean, so it's a social aspect of it that people really liked. And we had a team that had 40 people on the roster, and they all came. I was like, "You serious? There's no playing times. Like they don't care. They're having beer."
The team.
Yeah, it was. And I wasn't on the team, but then a team member of their team actually forwarded me the emails. The captain's email were epic, man. It was like 1,000 words highlight on the game. It's all like a story, and it was funny. I was like, damn, that's the spirit that I want, and it was great. Yeah. And those teams with dress themes. My team was a superhero theme. I want to dress like Batman, basically, and people award me for it, kind of thing, right? Cool. And so it lets you be who we want to be, and we're trying to make it just fun, and it's just, if lack of a better word, it's probably the funnest sport in the world. Any level, anyone can play, and anyone can dress what you want to be.
Yeah. Hey, and then so what I've heard was there was a year where dodgeball got banned and you couldn't get courts, and then
it wasn't a year. So that's what the problem with the Hong Kong thing. So exactly then. So we gotten so big, we were had 50-something teams, so we were doing half courts, right? So we basically invented the game as we go along. So originally the game was the volleyball court size, but then with the lower division, they can't play that size because you're not going to throw the ball. A lot of players cannot get the ball 30 feet. So then you need shorter courts. So then 1 basketball court we can make into 2 shorter courts, so it's wider, so you can have 6-on-6, 8-on-8, or 10-on-10, but then it's shorter distance, so then people are easier to get hit, right? So there's more action, and that worked out well. But until people, I think there was a petition or somebody knows somebody, so we got kicked. So they made a complaint to Hong Kong Park, so we got kicked out of that one venue, and that 1 week later we got kicked out of every single venue. And I'm like, based on what reason? And when they kick you out, you're out. And I'm like, based on what reason? Like, oh, you're booking basketball court, but you're playing dodgeball, and dodgeball doesn't exist. You're doing it wrong. You're changing the usage of the court. I was like, wow. At the time, we've really been there for what? It's 2006. We've been playing for 8 years, so I thought it would got grandfathered in. It wasn't. We got officially kicked out. So having said that, it wasn't a year. That single-handedly could have killed the sport. So then basically I had to write mid-season to the team. I was like, dude, there's a complication. Give me a couple of weeks to see what we can do. But we were banned from LCSD courts just mid-season. And I don't know, I'll probably try to do some refund or something. So anyways, but just so happens the next week, I was playing golf and with John Chu and his friend John Yoon, who was an early pioneer of, who was on my team the first year of 2006, right? And his wife also played dodgeball back in 2006. And he's like, why are you so depressed? I was like, dude, this just happened this week. It's just a few days. I was like, this happened in a few days. I got a call where just banned, immediately banned from all courts. And we had, we had 20 hours a week, right? And so they let us finish that, and we can't book anything else. And I was like, and he's like, why? He's like, oh, because then we're not using the right usage or whatever. And at the end of the day, I mean, people complain the government has to do something. So basically the first thing they do is, oh, you complain about dodgeball? Let's just ban them, the usage of the courts. So then so turns out John Yoon's wife, Chike, who's an early pioneer of the sport, with girls dodgeball also. So her mom's a politician, and she's like, oh, let me call my mom. She's on LegCo, or used to be LegCo. Let me see what she can do. Dude, just one phone call. And then she got me in with Raymond Fan, who was the top for LCSD. And I explained the situation. He's like, yeah, I know dodgeball. Yeah, you guys been there for a little bit. You guys are running really good. And I explained the situation. I was like, oh, all of a sudden they're not liking his book. It's like, oh, because it's the money issue. Because then they changed the theme where it's basketball court was 150 or whatever, but then like they did a rate. So It's complicated, but then like at the end, we were able to make a deal with them and say, okay, these courts that you played on, you will let your grandfather them in with them, and all you got to do is pay a difference of the rate. You can't pay the normal rate anywhere. You have to pay the 236 rate because you're not really basketball. I'm like, oh, done, dude. Money can solve it. Why not? So, but the fact is, one person said that one person banned the entire sport, and then another person gave it back to us. Dude, I was like, wow, that's so extreme. Just one person, you were talking to the right person, right? So yeah. So then I wasn't really turned off against it. I should have then thought that, hey, I might as well line myself up with people that can help me, but I've never done that, right? So something I'll talk to my psychologist about. I don't know why. I have a lot of connections. I never ever use my personal connection for personal gain. Yeah. So
okay, so you saved the game.
So Auntie Selena did. Thank you, Auntie Selena. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. one phone call, and then got it back the next week already. Yeah. So.
I always like to say that we are always one conversation from living a different future.
Yeah.
Like
dude,
that.
I mean, and I was, when John's like, hey, let's play golf, I was like, I didn't want to play. I felt depressed. And so good thing I did play. And they asked me, it's like, why you look like shit? Why? I was like, dude, it's been depressing. I was like, I've been something I worked for 9 years. Just all of a sudden, overnight, got killed. And then the same thing happened in pandemic, right? 2020. So last season was 2019 Christmas. We ended after Christmas, right? And then the lockdown happened. And I was like, oh, damn. And then we had no dodgeball for a whole year and a half. And that sucked. Yeah. So, and then even when the lockdown it's no longer lockdown, all the venues we were at that we were grandfathered, that we were limited in, they were not dodgeballs anymore. They were just either COVID center or vaccination centers. And now that they opened it back up to sports, booking is impossible.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Yeah. So, and then good thing is we changed ideas. Like, why not play outdoors? Because of the restrictions, we don't have to wear masks. And all of a sudden, the demographic changed when we came back. Dude, the demographic got young. Before it was all expats. It was late 20s, early 30s. Now it's all like teens. Like we got looked at kids like a 12-year-old and they're playing to 11. I was like, "Whoa, dude, where are your parents?" Right? I was like, and the parents are playing there. I was like, "Wow!" So we got the local. I was very happy with the local parent interaction. So and they were playing outdoor courts and there was no complaints. And I was like, "Wow." Okay, let's play outdoors, and there's I won't say unlimited, but there's a lot more resources of outdoor courts that we can book. It's not as hard to book.
Speaking of which, here's an idea. Would you eventually have a family league where families can play against each other?
Yes, I'm doing a kids league first, and then I'm trying that with country clubs. Have family leagues. So we'll see. It's tough though. I mean, the nature of the sport is so competitive. I mean, back when I was, I wanted to do Division 5, and we even made it trying to say, okay, this is a fun division. If you want to play competitive, play D4 and above, right? And even for D5, and I was like, okay, guys, captains, I want the captains to be more fun. Let's do a social theme. Let's, as a matter of fact, do a dress theme. And we're doing half course. So as a matter of fact, let's work together. If you have like 12 on 12, you can say, okay, let's do plays 12 on 12, right? We don't care. And then at the end, nobody did it. Yeah. And I asked them why. It's like, dude, they're like, I want to win. I want to win properly. I don't want to, I was like, seriously. And then having said that, I found myself on the same fault. I had a team that was just for fun too, and I bend all my own rules, right? I mean, we had our team was called DIU, and so then, just saying the word team name was a cuss
people
word.
Don't understand Cantonese. So you want to explain what DIU is?
Yeah, it's the naughtiest word for Canto that you can come up with, right? So we call it Dodge Intensive Unit, DIU, right? So then and it was supposed to be a fun team, and we had players, we had girls that didn't do any sports, and even for my team, I was like, yeah, I'm just, let's just play just for fun. But at the end of the day, the second half, 3 minutes left, the score is like 4-4. You're not going to put your best team on? You are. So I still benched my, player. And I felt bad, and we ended up winning, and I felt bad. And eventually, it's still competitive. And it doesn't matter. It's a moot point because then that ban happened. So when we were allowed to play again, no more half courts. because it was too distracting. It was too many people on the same court. So I was like, so then with that, we had to cut the teams down. But then like even then, it was too competitive. Even though it was my league and I wanted to make it fun. At the end, I wanted to win too, right?
Yeah.
So So yeah.
Would you say there's a fine line between being competitive and wanting to seek validation through winning?
Yes and no. I mean, it's actually funny with dodgeball, and I'll bring back like that movie, what Woody Harrelson said in White Man Can't Jump. You rather win, you rather look really good and lose, or you rather look really good and or you rather look bad but win. Right, so this is dodgeball. I mean, there's no wrong way why you won. At the end of the day, the better team wins. Right. So I mean, that's a lot of people don't understand is my team be on paper better than your team, but every team matches up differently. For some reason, your team has a catcher. For some reason, that can catch my type of ball speed. For some reason, you don't have no idea, or you have for some reason. Or case in point, I mean, for the podcast, maybe we can put like actual clips from the video, right? Actual Cop has so the national girls team back then played on Division II, right, against men, and just so as a good practice, because then if they play against men, then when they go out to play against women, they're gonna kick ass because they use the speed. So then. The fastest set I've ever played in, recorded, was 16 seconds.
16 seconds.
16 seconds. You start, 12 players run up for the ball, 6 players run up for the ball. 16 seconds later, one team died. Completely done. So that was a great example because it was my team, Villagers, versus the All-Star Girls, which is the Hong Kong national team, right? The girls. So we played at 16 seconds. But this is, keep in mind, if you just watch this set out of context, you're like, wow, these guys kicked the shit out of these girls, right? Wow, they're pulling the girls. No, dude, we ended up losing that game. We got our ass kicked in that game. We ended up losing 10-5 or something. But then at one point during the match, the 40-minute, we had like 16 seconds of just brilliance, right? So but it's just, this great thing about the sport is like at any time I can be playing really bad, and all of a sudden like I can do like I can convert a 3-on-1 and I feel like a rock star. Anybody can feel like a rock star at any point. And these are elements because I play a lot of different sports, and we try to make all these elements into dodgeball. You try to get the element of personality in golf kind of thing, right? It's an honor system, and it's about, you're basically playing it's about yourself, right? Whereas same thing with dodgeball, you can play about, you can be honest or not. It's a sport where you can tell character, basically. Dodgeball and golf. In triumph, how are you a person in triumph? Yeah. How are you in defeat? Right?
Yeah.
Do you slam a club? What kind of personality are you? Yeah.
Yeah.
So and I love this about dodgeball, and I see people's personalities, true personality, come out.
Yeah.
If you're a nice person, you become more nice.
Yeah.
If you're a bad person, you dodgeball brings the worst out in you, right?
Yeah.
Because it's in your face, and people people taunting you when you lose already. You're like so it brings out the worst. It can bring out the worst in you, and so that's why people the friends I make in dodgeball are my lifelong friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Character-wise. Yeah.
And I love this saying that your character, not yours, and our character is what we do when no one is watching.
Yes, exactly.
Right?
I believe that. Yeah. Your true character is. Yeah. Anyways. Yeah.
Yeah. So you also open up a stadium, Dodge City.
I did. Yes.
Yeah.
That didn't work out. That was the wrong time at the wrong time. When I signed the lease, we had 0 cases in Hong Kong. And then it was actually December 2021 when they're opening it back. The minute I signed the lease and the first day we actually knocked down the walls, started renovation, the country put us on lockdown for 5 months. And that kind of killed the cash reserve. So we did 1 season of dodgeball at Dodge City, and that was great. And then it still contributed to the sport a lot. That what the videos and what you can do in terms of to making the sport like a spectator sport. We can do some clips of that later. So I'm proud of those. Yeah. And then we made it into like an ESPN kind of like an event kind of thing. And then just the business itself was working, but then I got burnt out. I mean, because once you commit to doing like something, and it turns out I was the only one in the entire Hong Kong that can do these types of videos, and it took a long time, and every day there was like 4 matches, right? And it was like a lot.
You were doing all the editing
by myself,
yourself, and the recording.
And recording everything by myself. And it was passion. I mean, and at the end of the day, my wife's like, dude, 50 people is going to watch it. Not like, nobody's going to watch it. Yeah. Why you spend all this time and effort?
What kept you going?
Dude, I love, this is now achieve something for the sport. This is exactly what I wanted for sport. I wanted to, something that I can brag about on ESPN. This is what it looks like. This is what a dodgeball match should look like. 2 camera angles, live commentation. It should be like, very interesting, kind of thing. So then you did one video like that, you have to keep it consistent. So I was like, damn, I have to do that for the rest of the season. So yeah.
It's kind of like once you started, you can't stop.
You cannot stop. And then like I was trying the whole year to hire somebody and nobody wanted to do it. So then I was stuck doing it myself. And then the business, and that was $2 million of cash reserve I didn't account for. With the 5 months of lockdown, the landlord had to pay for rent. And then
how painful was it?
The monetary loss, very painful. I mean, my wife was got a lot, I won't say mental breakdown, but like, yeah, dude, it was like almost divorced kind of thing. Like she was very, very angry about it. Wow. But what can you do? It is what it is. I mean, it's pandemic. Yeah. Now, if I started today, would have been a success? Hell yeah, it would have been a huge success. So who knows? But now I'm still looking for a venue. I mean, the only reason I was so gung ho about it was I couldn't. There was the first time I found a venue that was high enough ceilings and the pillars were wide enough so you actually could do a dodgeball court kind of thing, right? Yeah. So then, and it was a mall. So then, did I have to go to like a mall? No, I didn't. So yeah. But I wanted that foot traffic. I wanted that branding. I wanted that exposure. So it is what it is. Yeah. I'll get there again. So
yeah. It sounded like just right decision and wrong timing.
It was the wrong timing. I mean, at one point, we had dodgeball playing there every night of the week, right? So then, if I had the corporate league moved over, then that would have paid for the rent itself, right? So, but the rest of the time, my wife had the point. The rest of the time, keep in mind, dodgeball. So it's just like 3-4 hours a night. That could pay. We have enough revenue technically to cover the rest of the day. But then what happens when the dodgeball season's off, right? Right, and what happens during the daytime? Like what happens from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Right? Yeah. So we haven't had the interest with dodgeball classes yet, but we'll get there eventually, right? Or I got to figure out what to do with the courts during the daytime. Do we give it out to yoga? Or who knows? Who knows?
Hey, I want to ask you about going back to way before. I know you had a different upbringing and your parents had a different set of expectation on you and who they want you to become. Yeah. And eventually you found your passion and your purpose through dodgeball. How was that journey for you? Like growing up in an environment where your parents had different expectation and to you finding your dream. Because at the start of the show, you also mentioned that when you told your dodgeball to your dad, he wasn't too happy about it.
No, he wasn't. Yeah,
right. How
only because he's like he wasn't happy. He was more like, "What are you doing? It just got banned in the U.S." And he's the one that told me. I was like, "Oh wow, I didn't know that it was banned in the U.S." And then, but I already committed. What can I do, right? So, but the difference is they banned baseball. I mean, they banned dodgeball based on that ball type they use. I mean, dodgeball is very flexible. It's really matches with the combo, right? So I mean, if you use let's just say use a foam ball, but it's a different weight. That's going to change the dynamics also. I mean, you're not going to be as accurate from 30 feet. If it's lighter, the ball, the wind might make an effect. The accuracy makes the game slower. Who knows? I mean, everything affects it more than people give it credit for. So with the U.S., because it's a bullying sport because of the ball they use, if they use foam balls, could it be banned in school? I don't think so. Unless they're saying, because they lost a game and they were talking shit, all of a sudden they had to take it out with guns. Who knows? You get blamed for everything, right? So who knows? Who knows?
Yeah. So for people, well, you mentioned that back in high school you weren't, back in elementary school you weren't picked for the team, and we also brought up the movie Dodgeball, which is like an underdog movie.
Yeah.
For people who are navigating, regardless of their age, who feel like they're an underdog, who are finding their purpose and their passion, what's the one thing that you would say to them?
For dodgeball,
anything in life.
You never know. Don't. It's not over till the fat lady sings. Let's put it that way. Yeah. So I mean, pandemic killed the sport, but somehow I didn't know, and all of a sudden it gotten bigger because all of a sudden it killed the league itself, and but then we got into development programs. So then in schools and everything, and then so I did not see dodgeball become like that that quickly. Let's put it that way. So I was very lucky. It was a one man band until 2019, and then Jackie and his team took over. And to his credit, I mean, they've done things I could never have done. I could not even get in a single school. I mean, I talked to Ishkayas, I talked to all the international schools. Yeah, they have dodgeball programs. They love it. I was like, can you guys play each other? It's like, Brian, no, we're not going to play each other. And I was like, what if I sponsor a tournament? And I was going to do it. I saw that in the culture, and they're like, Brian, on the weekends it's going to be tough because like everyone has their own schedule. The school has the intramurals and everything. Weekdays is impossible. I was like, dude, don't bother, basically. And I was fine. And I couldn't get in any local school because then I don't speak, the language, the writing, everything. So all Jackie did was like, oh, I can get us in local schools. And there's in Hong Kong there's 350 local schools. Within this since 2019 now he's in 60 of them and growing. So yeah, just one person did all that. It's crazy. And then when I say we're in schools, that means that school has a dodgeball program. That means that we also have to have the coaching program with certificates and accommodations to accommodate these schools with coaches. So we definitely need way more coaches now still. Yeah.
Thank you. So for the people who are listening to this talk, we just had a fantastic talk with Brian Lee. And I actually have a question that I want to ask you. The question I want to ask you is, how do you see dodgeball? Where do you want to take dodgeball? And please leave your comments in the comment section, and we'll direct all your expectations, dream to Brian. And hopefully Brian can make that happen.
I'll make a wish foundation. Yeah. Or tell me what questions. I'll answer them.
Yeah. And Brian, just before we close off the chat, and thank you so much for...
We're just scratching the surface. Like I said, you talk about dodgeball, and then
I can spend hours with you talking about different things. Yeah,
exactly.
Right? And hopefully I can re-invite you for round 2 as well.
Yeah, we'll get some questions. We'll go for round 2.
Yeah. But before we close off, what's the one question you want to ask the audience?
Why aren't you playing dodgeball? Let's keep trying it. I mean, right now we're developing in Hong Kong so well now. We have a Masters League, and that was a great accomplishment that I've added 3 years ago. And no offense to like Jackie and those guys, but you guys are too good. I mean, I've gotten too many broken fingers playing against the level. I'm not playing Division 1 anymore. I mean, they're too good. So. We're trying to discriminate by age, and it worked out. 30 and above, we're doing a master division, and it's fun. It's more fun. I mean, people like us can have fun again, where the ball comes at the speed you can see. And the match has been is exactly what we want to achieve. Like every match, every team there is perfectly matched, or it could be a very close game. It's whoever knows that week. Yeah.
And for people that are based in Hong Kong, they want to get involved in the sport, where can they find you?
On the website, check out our Facebook group, Hong Kong Dodgeball League, Hong Kong Dodgeball Association. The staff actually answers the Instagram, and I actually answer the questions for the other webpage. I forgot which one. Yeah. So yeah. And then, so we'll put the schedule there. Free trials the next couple Thursdays and new venue.
Great.
So, yeah.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having us.
Cheers.
Yeah.